You're tuned in to RX Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to RX Radio. Got a special guest here with us today, none other than First Lieutenant United States Marines, Jay Jones. I'll give you a bit of a brief intro and then we'll kind of get into it. But
Yeah, for sure.
no, Jay online a bit now, a little bit now. I think we met originally maybe in like the technique labs in the collective, and then from there, just kind of on Instagram, and then you were out level 3 this year. So it was great to spend some time with you, kind of see how you work, see how you coach. I think you have a little bit of a different path than a lot of our prescript coaches. So that's what I kind of wanted to bring you on and talk about today. And you played Division I football. You're obviously now making a career in the Marines, also training youth athletes in one-on-one training. So it's basically, I just kind of want to hang out, get your story, kind of talk about it, and see like what led you down each of these paths, and kind of how that experience plays into your rationale and your thought process in training right now. So,
Oh man,
ladies and
that's
gentlemen, Jay Jones.
hey, I just want to say I appreciate it. This is super dope. Yeah, man, my story is a lot different than a lot of people's. It took a lot of zigzags, and I'm still zigzagging just to try to figure this life thing out. Um, yeah, I played Division I football at Arkansas State University. I wasn't as good as I thought I was, and that taught me a lesson real quick, and transferred to University of Arkansas. Didn't play, and kind of like got like, oh, this is what it's like to be a student and not have to like go to study hall and not have to do this. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna make it to the NFL, so this is it. But when I came to the University of Arkansas, man, it was like I definitely was not on those guys level, where I thought I was, but that's to talk about, I guess you could say, confidence in the sense of getting to college and then seeing like everyone is fast, everyone is strong, and it's like, and they're really good on the field. So yeah, when I got a taste of what it was like being a student and I kind of like reality set in, I always tell people, it's like, don't confuse your identity with, like, don't attach your identity to certain things because it could be taken away from you at any moment. So yeah, that was interesting.
That's tough though at that age too, because like I'm sure I went through a similar thing with wrestling. Going through like I grew up wrestling, man. Like when you're young, it's like whoever's stronger and fights harder wins, and then you get into like not even really middle school because it's still kind of that. Like people get a little bit of technique in middle school, and that's like gets you above. And then high school, it's like, all right, you actually have to be strong, conditioned, and have technique. But like there's kind of those certain cases where if you're over the top in one of those things, you could still win. And then going into college, and I was D3 in college, so it's not like the same level of competition, but it's like you got to have everything and you still might lose. And then
Right.
so like what was that transition like for you coming up playing football, getting into D1? Because I'm sure like that's like as good as it gets when you're in high school. It's like you get that D1 scholarship, or you get accepted to the D1 schools. Like what was that transition like going through that, and like your mindset around training? Because I know you train youth athletes now, so I'm sure
Mhm.
like this will be valuable for a lot of them to hear from your experience.
To be honest with you, Jay, man, it was crazy. It was a crazy thing because I knew, like, and this is one thing I tell my athletes is, and I'm very honest with my athletes, and not to say that people weren't honest with me, but it's kind of like, people glaze you up and they'll tell you like, oh man, you could do this, and yeah, you truly can, but we have to understand that hard work doesn't always pay off, and that, you know, or not the way that you think is going to pay off. And the one thing is that I try to tell people is like, when I went to college, like, man, like I'm telling you, I was one of the hardest workers. Like I was training every day. I was going to the fields. I was doing field work. I was, in the weight room. I was probably like one of the strongest guys in the weight room. And I was doing all of the things, and so I didn't get a scholarship initially to Arkansas State. I went as a walk-on, what they call a preferred walk-on, and so I
Okay.
walked on at the university. And when I walked on, it was like you. This is the thing that most people don't understand. Is like, yeah, you're playing college football, but you go from you're in one locker room, all of the starters and the scholarship people, they're in another locker room. So
Mm,
you kind of like ducked off to the side. And so when opportunity came and it was like, oh, my hard work paid off. And then it was like, all right, this is an opportunity for you to get this scholarship. It was like I didn't necessarily feel worthy, nor did I feel like I should even be in that class because yeah, I worked really hard, but at the same time, it's like the gym doesn't always translate to the field, right? And so you can be the hardest worker in the gym and still suck on the field, right? And so it's like some people, and this is why I tell people, some people are just genuinely gifted. They can get on the field and they can make it happen, and they don't have to work as hard. And
mhm,
so that's the kind of like the arena more or less that you walk into is like I said, everybody's fast, everybody can jump, but it's like, can you do your sport? And your sport is always going to be the proxy. So it's like you will see people all the time that they fall from fame where they're like super good at their sport, but they don't have any discipline. And
mhm,
so the one thing that my mentors always taught me is like, don't let your abilities get you into a room that your discipline can't keep you in. And
mhm,
so you will get to a certain point and yeah, like you need to work hard in order because every level there's a different devil, is what we always say. And so it's like you may go to from high school, you may be the man at high school. You're gonna have to work a little bit harder in college because everybody good. Then from
mhm,
college to the NFL, it's like it's a whole nother game, you know.
mhm.
And so for me, it was just difficult, you know. My confidence definitely took a hit for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man, especially because like, it takes a lot of work just to get to that level, and that's a cool story because I mean, I didn't really know the full context around that. I just know that you play D1, like, you've told me, like, you weren't competing at the level that you wanted to or you hoped you could at that level, but there is, in my mind, like, 2 distinct cases of people that play at that level, and there's the people that, like, fight tooth and nail to get there and just to show up and be on that roster, and, like, they do everything in the weight room, everything you're saying, and it's like, that's, maybe your peak is getting there when there's this other group of people that's like they're the outliers, that it just comes a little easier for them, like they don't have to work as hard, like they're just genetically gifted, like they just have that untangible factor that makes them incredible at the sport. And it's like those people, a lot of times what I saw growing up, like I grew up small town, probably probably similar to like what it's like in Arkansas, but like people didn't go into professional sports, like maybe like 3 people in my generation of athletes, like where I grew up, like went into professional sports, but and that's like across all sports. But there's like those outliers that like they're just a cut above in from the beginning, like in high school, and then they get to college and they're like it comes easy to them and they're an outlier there, and then they get to the league, and I'm sure those people are still even humbled then. But there is almost more discipline that needs to be had in that aspect than in, like you're saying, like don't let your, what did you say, skills get, or don't let your work ethic get you into a room your discipline can't keep you in.
Right, yeah. Like
I like that.
don't let your skills, you know what I'm saying, get you into a room that your discipline won't keep you in.
Yeah.
And so,
I
yeah, like you see it all the time. Like people have super, they're like we see it at L3. Like some dudes, they just got it, you know.
yeah. Yeah. Some people are just literally built different. Like there's no explanation for it. It's just like, yeah, whatever you're made of is better than what I'm made of. And like it's hard to accept that when, you grow up. I'm sure you were the man in high school, and then like you walk in that locker room, it's like, oh, there's everyone was the man in high school here. So it's like it's tough to go from that level to the next, especially when, like you said, a lot of your identity, I'm sure, was being the man in high school. So like,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that. Like, what was that like coming to that realization, and then like you said, making that transition from being, a student athlete to being like a student.
I will tell you, I know the exact moment when I knew I wasn't gonna make it to the league, when I knew I wasn't gonna, make it in college football. And you can look this up. Like there's a guy, Demario Davis. He plays for the New Orleans Saints, middle linebacker, I believe, or outside linebacker. He went to Arkansas State. This boy was from Mississippi. He came in and we was like just in pads and helmets, right?
Mhm.
And I was running my route, and I just remember waking up in the training room and looking at film and was like, "What happened?" And they was like, "Yeah, this is where you messed up." And I was like, "Yep, this college thing, I think I I got it because he got it." And like
Yeah.
you confident and you come from high school, so you like, man, I'm the man. And then what they say, that boy knocked some sense into me. I realized real quick that as you can see, he in the NFL to this day. And I graduated. We was in high school together. We came in 2007. So
Yeah.
that means he would have graduated college in what, like 2012, 2011. He's still in the league. And to his work ethic, like
Yo.
he was a hard worker, but
Yeah.
he had it and it knocked me out, whatever it
Damn.
was. So
Dude, that's so funny. I had the same realization when I was wrestling in college. I was wrestling, and there was a kid on my team too. It was like in the room. Like his name was Tommy Desir, great wrestler. But like this is to speak towards like some people are just built different. His brother, I think when we were wrestling, his older brother was playing in the NFL for the Colts, I believe. And like I'm like, all right, there's something in your family that wasn't in my family. And like I just remember wrestling him and like I have like a dental implant in the front and like wrestling, like it's physical, but like it's not physical in the same way that football is. Like it's close contact, like you're getting like taken down, shit like that. But like he just beat the shit out of me. He knocked my front tooth out, and I'm like, all right. And we were at the same weight class. We were competing for like the starting spot, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe
you
I
got
better
it.
figure out something else. Yeah.
Yeah. You realize real quick, like this ain't it. Like
Yeah.
I ain't got it like that. And that was that was when I came to the University of Arkansas, it was yeah, it sucked, man. It really did suck. Like because you wrap your identity up and it's like you work really hard at something and you like this is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
There's nobody I truly believe there's nobody who worked harder than me in high school, going from high school to college. And even my friends, they could attest, like, bro, I wasn't going to no parties. I was in the gym. And when you go from that to like you have to ask the question, like, who am I? Like,
Yeah.
and I've had multiple times in my life, like even in the military, but like who is Jay Jones? You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
that part is very humbling because you have to like find out like you have to think like what is your purpose? Like what are you really trying to do? Is it football or is it what you can get from football? Is that part was a very eye-opening thing for me that was tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's tough because, like, it's a very different lifestyle when, like, your life revolves around your identity being who you are in that sport, right? And to going to not having that, in a short period of time, it does leave you kind of questioning, like, all right, like, what now? Like, what's my purpose? What do I need to work for? So, like, what did you come up with when you asked yourself that question?
Man, it's funny, right? Because that was in like 20 I came up here like what, 2012, 2015, 20 somewhere in there. And it
Mhm.
was like I didn't I truly didn't know what my and this is like I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but I didn't feel like I knew what my purpose was until I was like 27, 26. And it was like, every football player goes through it. We go to the gym, we're gonna do, chest and tries, back and buys, and do this. I'm trying to get super swole. Um, it led me down a path. Like I was a manager of a nutrition supplement store, I guess you could say. And it's just like you trip, you fall, and you like, this ain't what I want to do. This sucks. Like, man, I was thinking like, yeah, man, I'm gonna run this supplement store. I'm gonna get all the protein for free. I got all the fat burners. Man, I'm gonna be like, I'm in the gym with the bodybuilders, and I'm connecting with these guys. And then I was just like, man, this shit's stupid.
Mm.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to work in no store all day. They're like, and it's like, is this what my life is? Like, I'm gonna work in a supplement store? Like, nah, dog. Like, that wasn't it. And then I went to I don't know if y'all familiar, but it's a place called like JB Hunt. It's like the corporate headquarters is here in Northwest Arkansas, and I worked there for like years. And man, I was like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna work my way up the business ladder. Like, this is the thing that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start here, and next thing you know, I'm gonna be like the CFO or something like that. And then life hits you, and you be like, nah, dog, like that ain't it. You can work as hard as you want. And I realized that when like I interviewed for this job and I felt like I did all the things that I needed to do. I was the president of Toastmasters. I love talking in front of people. I love inspiring people. I love helping people. And people was like, man, Jay, man, you got it, man. You can speak and you can do this. And I was like, yeah, I can do this. And I'm like, I interviewed for this. I remember I interviewed for this position and I didn't get it. And so I was like, okay. And so a guy that I trained at JB Hunt, he was like, hey man, guess what I got? I just got promoted. And I was like, to what? To to the job that I wanted? I was like, I got more experience than you. I'm in the president of Toastmasters. And so again, this all comes back to hard work doesn't always pay off. I'm like, that's what
Yeah.
the mantra is. Like, people like, yeah, if you work really hard or something, you're gonna get it. Nah, dog. No, that ain't it. And I can tell you stories about the military when I seen people. Yeah, if I just work really hard at something, I'm nah, dog. Don't you can't be attached intrinsically to a goal or a thing, because when it's taken away from you, you got to ask that question, like, why was I really doing this? And like, it came from me from JB Hunt when one day the dude told me, they was like, hey, we appreciate everything you did, but yeah, we canceling your position. And I'm just like, the fuck, like, I just worked really hard. Like, how you gonna fire me? And then
Yeah.
you promote the dude that I was training. And so, again, life slap you in the face and you like, all right, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah. Man, I mean, I've seen it too, time and time again. Like, those are the most valuable learning moments, is when you do work hard and you feel like you did everything right and you still don't get the result that you think you deserve, or the one that you wanted, or the thing that you had your eyes on. And you have to really, like you said, you have to kind of recalibrate and be like, all right, why am I really doing this? Like, what was I chasing there? Was it this position? Was it some sort of, just purpose in my day to day? Was it financial security? Was it like, was it camaraderie? Like, did I want to be part of a team? Like, you really have to assess and kind of boil it down to, all right, like, this is the goal I was chasing. These are the actions I was taking to get towards that goal. But like, at the root of it, I really wanted what? And then kind of assess that. And then I think the thing is, if you can look at it in that light, then you can apply that to anything, right? I'm sure
Oh
you can
yeah.
get those same things that you were chasing, uh, climbing the corporate ladder, anywhere else, like maybe not anywhere else, but in a different place. And then if you can assess and you can pivot laterally like that, then that's an incredibly valuable lesson to learn very early on. And it seems like, at that point in life, there were multiple points where we kind of had to reassess and kind of dig deep and understand, like, all right, what is it that I need to chase here? So, all right, I mean, we've left football. You kind of went the corporate ladder. You figured out that wasn't for you, kind of ran to the end of the route there. Then you're out of a job. What's next?
So this is a story that most people don't really know about me, man. Like, I tell you, we all good. It's here now. There was a moment in time where I was like damn near homeless.
Yeah,
Um, it wasn't like I wasn't on the streets. I had an
yeah.
apartment. I just didn't have nothing in it. I sold I sold everything, and I still have the picture on my phone, and I just had like a little cot, more or less. I had a blanket on the floor and I had nothing, right? And so I didn't tell nobody because like it was my pride, man. Like,
Yeah,
I'm in a fraternity. I know I got people who I can be like, hey man, I just need a little help. But it was like, again, when you get to this point to where you just like you gotta reassess, it's like, all right, dog, like this is you. This is You gotta figure this out. Like, and
yeah,
I knew, like, coming from where I came from, like when my parents, like, yeah, my parents would get a last, they last to just see me succeed. And I was like, I'm not asking them because they ain't got it. And I'm not gonna have them go without just because I'm uncomfortable. So man, the cool thing is when you hit rock bottom and you ain't got nothing, you ain't got nothing but time. So I would just like literally like read books like on training. I would be on not at the time this was on Instagram. This was like I would just read articles. And I was like, man, like I'll just train people. And like believe it or not, kind of like what y'all would always talk about, like I would just work for free half the time. I'm like, hey man, let me help you. I can get you in shape. Now what I know now and what I know then, I ain't know nothing then, but I was helping somebody, you know. I said, man, like I'm gonna just do what I know, like from what I learned in football. I'm like, all right, we're gonna go to the gym, we're gonna hit this. Everything that you push is gonna be like chest and tries. Everything that I pull, it's gonna be back and box. And like that's the foundation. So I'm like, I get people in the gym, they start to feel good. And the thing that helped me out the most is like, as you probably know, I'm a talkative person. Like I can go in the room and I can be cool with everybody. And
Yeah.
so I was never afraid to have a conversation with somebody. And a lot of times I would start training my friends for free. And then they would be like, oh man, I'm working out with Jay Jones and thank God for them, man. Cause people like, oh man, like how much you charge? And they'll be like, man, you gotta holler at him. I ain't charging them nothing, but in the beginning, I'm like, I was like, man, they be like, hey Jay, how much you charge? And I'm like, shit, $50. No, that's too much. $30 a session. And they like, bet. And so then I'm like, okay, cool. And so I'm starting to train people and doing it. And I probably shouldn't say this, but it was like illegal, I guess you could say, because I go in the gym and act like I'm working out. Because you know, if you're not on their staff, you can't work. And
Right.
so I go in the gym and I'm like, hey, that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna act like I'm working out with you, and you know, we're gonna do it like this. And they're like, all right, bet. So people will pay me and I just BS and act like I'm working out. And you know, they'll get me into their gym because I ain't got no money. So I'm going into their gym, working out with them, getting paid. I would do these brand marketing events things that you would get paid like $20 an hour or something. However, it's only like 3 or 4 hours at a time, and I would do them like hotcakes, right? I'm out there just like it was something like I don't know if you remember like the Pepsi and Coke challenge, but it was like a beer thing, and it was like Miller Lite versus Bud
Oh
Light, and you didn't.
yeah.
Yeah, I did that, and I'd be out there like, hey, do you know what beer you drinking? They're like, oh, which one are you like? I'm like, I don't even drink beer, but I'm like, oh, I love Miller Lite, you know. And I've always just been a hustler, man, and in between that, and I was like, all right, you really got to get off your ass and like make this happen. And so it went from training to doing these little brand marketing deals to like bouncing at a bar to and people always like, man, Jay, why you got so many jobs? And I was like, I don't, you know, that's just always what I've been, you know. And so it was just like that in that stage of my life when I was like damn near like homeless, like I had just enough money to pay my rent, pay my electricity, and pay my phone bill. And nobody asks questions. People like, hey Jay, I'm coming over your crib. No, 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 no. I'll come to your place. And
Yeah.
so it was like I just didn't want people to know my situation because I didn't want people to pity me. And I ain't never like I'll figure it out. I just never wanted people to be like feel sorry for me. You know what I'm saying? And that was just kind of like where I was at. It was like I'm just this is people paying me to work out with them. That was to me, I was like, this is the cheat code for life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it. You peaked, man.
yeah,
Damn. That's crazy. And that's I mean, I think there's a really good lesson to be taken from that. It's that like when you hit that rock bottom, you gotta figure it out. And like no one's gonna do it for you. Like I'm sure everyone has a different degree of help that they're willing to ask for, but like similar to you, man. Like I've been in a position where like I've been broke. I had a ton of debt. I didn't have a job. Like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start a business. Like, but I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how much to charge people. Like it's very, very similar struggles. And it's you just kind of have to figure it out. It's like, all right, well, life has all these demands and I gotta figure out a way to keep up. And like for me, it was like the point of exhaustion was the thing that motivated me to grow. Cause it's like, all right, like I I'm I'm tired of being broke. Like I'm tired. I was living in a townhouse with the girl I was dating at the time and four other girls. Like I just moved in with her and I'm like, all right, like this is all I can afford. I can't afford an apartment on my own. And
that ain't a
like
bad look though.
yeah, it might sound like it, but it's not great.
Sound
But
a lot better than my situation.
Damn. but for me, it's like I gotta figure out a way to like get out of this. I gotta figure out a way to make it work. And like I just got to a point where I was doing so much and I was making so little money that I was just so exhausted all the time. And it's like I can't do this. Like I did it long enough to like realize I can't keep doing this. And like that was the thing that got me to be like, all right, what's the next thing? Like how can I get out of this, and how could I like find a level of comfort that's sustainable? Because this like I'm getting by, but this isn't sustainable. Like I'm gonna work myself to death. Like I'm tired all the time. Like I'm in a shitty mood all the time. Like I can't be in a shitty mood. I have to put on a face for the clients. Like I need to be able to perform and like have a level of mental clarity when I'm working that like I'm just not afforded right now by the lifestyle that I'm living. And like very much like you, I'm too proud to ask for help. Like I'm not gonna ask my parents for help. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna do something that I'm not comfortable with because of pride, right? And it's like
Right.
I want to do this the way I want to do this, and like stubbornness, I guess you could say. And that's like what really forced me to figure out like, all right, there's got to be something more in this. Like I need to figure out the next step. I need to figure out like how I can make more money or work less and still sustain. And that's like, you know, ultimately like why I started the businesses that I started, because like you know, and it is very much like you're saying, like hard work doesn't always get you the result that you want. Like I was working fucking hard, but I wasn't making much money. Like I wasn't, you know, I didn't have the systems in place. I didn't know what I didn't know was like the thing. It's like I didn't know how people were, you know, making money without like just fucking grinding like every single day. And that's something that I never would have found out if I just like, you know, had a cushy job or like whatever, or like worked for the family or like something like that. So for me, it was like, all right, like the one thing I got down is I got hard work. Like I can grind if I need to. So like let me at least figure out something that, you know, maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But like if I keep doing this, I'm gonna be working myself to death anyways.
Yeah.
So let me figure out a way that I can at least profit off that, or like, you know, benefit off that long term, and hopefully have a chance at working less one day, as opposed to like this inevitably being my fate forever. And that's like kind of what got me to figure out, all right, what's the next step? Like where do I need to go from here?
Man, I'll tell you a funny story. So like I think life, if you really reflect on life, and I had a lot of time to reflect, like there's these moments in life where you be like, yeah, that's it. And so like I done told you two already. The point for me where I realized like, all right, this is not the life that I want to like do per se, like all of this hustling. And so I used to give plasma, right? It started off like in college where I would just
Yeah.
do it to, for alcohol money all the time. And me and my friends would do it. Well, I was doing it here in Northwest Arkansas, and like they had these things like, oh, like come give plasma, you get $800 this month. I'm like, bet, say
Yeah.
less. And so, but here, this is what they do. They trick you, and they be like, all right, the first donation you get, you don't get like $150. You get like $50. The second donation, you get like $75. The third don't, and that by the end, it come out to be $800. But you like, man, what? And so I knew when, and like I'm not better than nobody, but I knew when I would see the people that would be in there, and I'm just like, and you kind of like feel bad, like I shouldn't be in here, man. Like I'm not
Yeah.
hurting this bad. And then when the lady was like, "All right, Mr. Jones, you back again?" You know what? Nope, I'm leaving because I ain't got to wait in line, and I'm not gonna wait in line for this. And not that I'm better than nobody, but this ain't the life. You know me by my name. No, I'm not I'm not gonna be coming up in here. And then I looked up how much plasma. If anybody out here give plasma, just look up how much a bag of plasma costs. They giving y'all pennies. They getting paid off of that. Cause I always wonder, like, man, how much do plasma really cost?
Yeah.
Nah, man, nah, I'm out. Like y'all, cause then the negative effects, like you give all this plasma, now you tired, and kind of like what you say is like now I'm trying to coach, and I'm like lightheaded because I done just gave blood and plasma, and I got this big knot on my arm. And now when I give blood to this day, people like they look at me. I was like, hey, I wasn't on drugs. It's just scar tissue right there. And they be looking at me like, yeah. So it was at that moment when the lady, she don't even know, but she called me by my name. And I was like, no, I gotta go. I'm not. And But the cool thing is, like, I know now, if I was ever just like the end, I know what I can do. And I think that there's learning in that because it's like I've always been a hustler. And so it's like I know the security that I have is like if I was to lose everything today and I have nothing, I know how to get out of that. And so I'm
Yeah,
just be like, all right, this is where I'm at again. Been here before and figure it out, you know. And so for
yeah,
me, it's like I'm not afraid to go back because I know what it's like. It sucks,
yeah,
but I can figure it out.
yeah. Absolutely, man. It's crazy, and I think very similarly, like situations like that. And I love that you can trace it back to like one moment. It's like that lady calling you out by name. But
Mm-mm.
the way I think of it is like once you've been there and you found a way out, like you'll never be there again. Like even if like yeah, like you're in a similar situation again, like it'll never be that bad. And even if it is that bad, like you'll get out of it so much faster, just because that's something that like all right, I've been here before. I know the way out of this. Like, let's make moves and let's go. Like, it'll never take that long again. It'll never be like that emotionally taxing on you again because it's like, all right, I've been here. Like, we're back now. Let's make moves again. Let's do the things we need to do to get back on track. So that's a skill, man. That's like I think it's so valuable because people that have never been in that type of position or a situation like that, then like they're shattered, man. Like you'll be
Oh
shattered. You'll be
yeah.
so defeated if you like you hit a low like that, and then that could set you on like a completely different trajectory. Because some people like if you've never been there, you've had a pretty comfortable life, like you might not have the capacity to deal with that sort of thing, like emotionally, like even like psychologically, like to be able to deal with that and move forward. So it's as shitty as it is, and like you don't wish that type of position on anyone. Like it's so valuable having been in that position and having gotten out of that, that like you'll never go back to that again. Like you'll never be in that position. So that's huge, man. All
No, for
right,
sure.
so you got to the point, like she calls your name, you're like, I can't fucking do this anymore. Like what were the moves from there? Like where what how old were you at this point? Like when was this relative to everything else?
That was like 25, 26, about
Okay.
25, 26.
All right. So this is
And
like aligning with when you said like you didn't really like figure it out until you were 27, 28. So
right. And so 26, 27, I got and for the first time in my life, it was like this company, I don't know if you ever heard of it being in CrossFit, but Junk Brands. And so I started
yeah.
working at Junk Brands, the headband company. I was the event manager. And they was like, "Hey, we want you to do events. We need somebody who looks fit and is good at talking to people." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." And they was like, "All right, we're gonna pay you to go to this CrossFit event, and we're gonna pay you, and then we're gonna pay for your room and board. We're gonna pay for your food. We just need you to drive there." Hold up. So you pay for my hotel, you pay for my food, and you pay me just to go and talk to people, and all I gotta do is drive? Oh, say less. Well, I did it. It started as a part-time thing. Like I would go on the weekends. Like, man, this had to be like 2016, 2017. I started
Yeah.
going to like the CrossFit regionals back in the day when they had regionals. I went to
Yeah.
all them jumps, right? So back when they had the one on the West Coast in Cali, they would have the
Yo,
one, it would
we
be
might
in
have
New
crossed paths there and never known, man.
Yeah, man. That was it Del Mar? Yeah, whatever the club
Lamar,
was, baby.
yeah. And that like
Yeah.
horse racing arena.
I was there. I was
Dang,
there
man.
slanging
That's cool.
headbands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to show you some pics from back in the day. But for the first time, like I was training during the week, like Monday through Friday, and then I would do this event on like the weekend. And it was like I didn't spend any money and I was getting paid. And now I can, bro, I'm like I tell anybody, like humbly, I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. Like my parents, I never went on no vacation. We never, that's not talking bad about my parents. They did the best they could, but like I ain't never going no damn Disney World or whatever. The most we had, if anybody in Arkansas know, we went to Wild River Country and Magic Springs. That was what you did. And so when this company was like, "Hey, we'll pay you to go to Cali," I'm like, "Well, we'll pay you to go to New York, go to Nashville for South Central Regional. We'll pay you this. And like, so I was doing all these events, and it was cool with me because I'm just talking to people who's like-minded people. And I
Good.
was like, man, this is really cool. And after doing that, I did that, man. I did that for like 7 years. Now I'm
Dang.
coaching still full time, but it was a moment where they were like, hey, we want you to come on full time. And I was like, nope. And they was like, what do you mean? Like, this is an amazing opportunity. I was like, I love coaching and I love training people. I don't want to do that full time. And like, that was so much power to me in saying no. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm good. And it was just like, okay. They was like, well, how about this? How about we pay you a salary and you kind of like can just come and go as you please. As long as your events go smooth, cool. And I was like, all right, you'll pay. So now in my mind, I'm living good. Now, mind you, like I wasn't getting paid like 60, 70K or anything, but I was getting paid enough to where like, okay, that's a consistent check. And I'm still doing the things that I want to do. So I can come into the office for like 2 hours, go coach some athletes, come back, and the vibe was so cool because the guy who was the president of the company, he was something like a mentor to me. And he coming from where I come from, like I come from the hood. And so I don't really do good with passive aggressive people. I'm okay with criticism, but you gotta
Yeah.
be blunt with me. You like, hey Jay, you fucking up, man. You need to do this better. I'm like, hey, got you. Good to go. And
Mhm.
when he was there, it was like I felt comfortable. And so like I did that for like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, about 6, 7 years. And
Dang.
kind of like fast forward into like when you talk about like purpose, when I decided to join the Marine Corps, now I'm 30 years old, and it was COVID. That's what happened. COVID happened. And I remember because I was on my way to the Arnold, the sports classic in Columbus, Ohio. And like people was like, yeah, this virus is going out. And I'm like, some people got the cold or something. Like, it ain't that big of a deal. And they was like,
Yeah.
we're shutting down the Arnold. And I'm like, I'm already in St. Louis. I'm driving up and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll turn around, drive 5 hours back to Arkansas. Then not
Shit.
knowing what was really going on.
Yeah.
And like, like the world stopped basically. Um,
Yeah.
I couldn't train people. I couldn't coach people. And so it's like the one thing that I love to do, I can't do no more. We can't do events. And so I'm just like, again, now this, and this is like my reoccurring thing in life. Like now it comes back again. It's like, I done worked really hard at this and somebody just took it away from me. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, all right, Jay, you been here before. Like, what do you do? And so I told Junk, I was like, hey, like, I'll help her out wherever I can. Again, like it goes back to being a hustler, like a jack of all trades. And I was like, what y'all need me to do? Y'all need me to sew the headbands? Y'all need me to iron them? You need me to hang them? I gotta have a job. Like, I can't, whatever. I don't want to go back and get plasma again. So it was I went and I was basically working full time, at Junk. So cause I couldn't coach and I couldn't train. And people was, you know how it is. Well, everybody know how it is. It was just like
Yeah.
touching people, getting like wearing the mask. You couldn't do anything. So that was like that was like a damn near year.
Mhm.
And it was at that moment, like I ain't gonna never forget. Like I was at home, and and this is gonna sound cliche, but I don't care. Like people can think what they want to think. Like this is the God's honest truth. I'm on my computer and I'm like literally looking at one of y'all like videos or something, like just watching a podcast. And I'm like, man, these dudes got it figured out. Like, so I'm like, all right, well, at least
I'm glad it
let me
seems
like,
that way.
I was like, let me learn, I can learn from them. And I saw the dude and like instantly I was like, man, Jordan, man, got all these tattoos. I'm like, that's my type of guy right there. And he would just say it, what the fuck, whatever he felt. And I was like, I can relate to that. And so I started watching y'all podcast or whatnot. And it was like, all right, Jay, like if in this moment I'm just gonna learn. I'm gonna learn as much as I can since I can't coach. And it was this is how you know you made it. Now I got YouTube Premium, so I don't got to worry about ads. But at the time, the ad popped up, And anybody who's in the military, probably I know you've seen this ad, and it was a black guy on a diving board, and he was like, I can hear my drill instructor now saying, if you quit now, you'll always be a quitter. And I'm like, what is this? And so I'm like looking at it, and then the dude like jumps in the pool, and I'm like, no, I don't do water. And so the dude like jumps in the pool, and he comes up, and he's just like on this boat, and he just like getting after it, like the black dude with his face paint. I'm just like, damn, what is this? I'm thinking like this some Navy SEAL stuff. And he was like, the few, the proud, the Marines. And I was like, damn, that was kind of cool. I saw myself. I was like, I hate water. And I was like, you had me jump off something. I was like, man, this is crazy. So I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, okay, let me see what this is about. And yeah, so I reached out to in the Marine Corps, they call OSAs, right? So officer selection. Reached out to him and was like, hey, I want to join the Marine Corps. He was like, how old are you? I was like, I'm 30. He was like, are you serious? I was like, I'm dead ass. Like, yeah, I want to do it. I can't coach. And I
Yeah.
know I don't want to work at, I mean, I love working at Jiunta at the time, but I was like, this ain't my life. Like, I want to do something exciting, man. And like, I would always tell my kids, man, like, go for it, man. Like, shoot your shot. If it's hollering at a girl, shoot your shot. If it's that business opportunity, because what's the most they're gonna do is just tell you no. Like, and so that's just always been my mentality. And so I was like, all right, cool. I mean, the most that they can tell me is no. Hey,
Right.
you too old, whatever. The dude was like, okay. He's like, if you serious, he's like, drive up here, which is 2 hours away in Springfield, Missouri. And he was like, you got to run a PFT. We got to see what your PFT score is. And anybody knows this physical fitness test. And the Marine Corps 3-mile run, pull-ups, and at the time it was crunches. I was like, I can smoke this. I was like, pull-ups, easy. Plank, sit-ups, easy. That 3-mile, wasn't ready for it. And so yeah, man, I failed it. And now it kind of gave me something to chase. And so I found like I was running. I mean, I got to do this, and you know, and I didn't say this earlier, but like in my mind, like when I stopped playing football, I quit. And that's the thing that people don't talk about. Like, yeah, I felt like that was the moment in there where you feel like you kind of had this identity wrapped up in football. Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I quit. Like nobody cut me from the team. I came to University of Arkansas and I quit, and so I had to live with that. I was like, I'm a quitter, you know? And so when I was like, I'm not going to quit at this. If he going to tell me no, it's going to be because whatever. It ain't going to be because I didn't try. And so I ran and I finally passed it. And he was honest with me. And again, like I respect honesty. He was like, I don't know if you're going to get in. He's like, you too old. You had LASIK eye surgery, which they did something to my cornea or whatever. They was like, you need a vision waiver. And at the time they had a tattoo policy, and it was like, you need a tattoo waiver. He's like, I ain't never seen 3 waivers get approved. Maybe 1, maybe 2. He's like, but I was like, well, you know, whatever. I was like, all they gonna tell me is no. And so that's where I was at.
Dang, man. That's crazy. And the thing I love about seeing this story unfold, or like hearing this story unfold, is there's so much meaning in each of these transitions. It's like you took every single one of these things like as far as you could, and then there was a specific reason you're like, all right, this isn't it anymore. Then you pivot, and you pivot, and you pivot. And you didn't shy away from like, you know, the challenge of something, or like when things got hard, you didn't quit, you dug in. And that's the message that I like that's really coming out of this. So that's crazy. So all right, to the point you're thinking you might not get this approved. Like what pushed it across? Like what was the thing that made this all work out? Because you're obviously first lieutenant right now.
All right, so anybody in the military, they'll know like how this process works before you go to OCS. You have to go on a board and you have to get selected. Like every Dick and Jane don't just get to go and be an officer in the Marine Corps. It's not
Yeah.
like the enlisted side. The enlisted side is like if you breathing, if you got a basic level IQ and you can pass a PFT, you're going to boot camp.
Yeah.
Officer side is completely different.
Yeah.
So think of OCS as like a interview, because you're not a Marine, you're not commissioned, and you can get sent home. And so when you go to OCS, it's basically just a 10-week interview to see what if you have what it takes. So for me, it was like, all right, I passed. I went on this board, didn't expect to get it, and I remember he called me, and I'm at junk or whatever. It was like a Thursday, and he was like, "Hey," I was like, "What's going on?" And he was like, "I got some good news and I got some bad news." And I was like, "I'm used to hearing bad news. What's up? Shoot it to me first." He was like, "You're not going to OCS this summer." And I was like, "Whatever." I knew that. I mean, I didn't know that, but I was like, "Well, I guess figure out something. What's the next part of my life?" And he's like, "What? You don't want the good news?" And I was like, "Not really. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know what good you can come from this." And he's like, "Well, I'll just tell you, you are going to OCS just in September." I was like, "You said what?" He was like, "Yeah, you going." Oh shit. I was like, "Okay, I'm finna be the black dude on the diving board now." I'm like, "All right, let's go." And again, man, like here, life is, man, you making me reflect. Life is actually really funny, man. How shit happens, and so I was like, "All right, cool, bet." So I'm preparing, getting, don't really know what to expect. And so this is how, like, people believe in God. You can believe whatever you want to believe in, but I think that everything at some point in your life happens for a reason. And so it's like I felt like, again, like trying to find my purpose. Like I've always felt inclined to serve people, like to help people. That's why I got into coaching. That's why I got into
Yeah.
training. It's because I want to help people. And my thought process why I truly love coaching youth athletes is because I want to give them what I never had. I want to give them the opportunities and be honest with them, and let them be not only better athletes but better human beings, right? And so that's just, and so when I was thinking about joining the Marine Corps, people's like, "Oh, Jay, like why not the Army, the Air Force, or whatever?" And I was like, because people they say that whoever joins the Marine Corps, they're crazy and they're like the hardest one. I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm doing that one. And plus,
Yeah.
it was something about them dress blues, man. God, we got the best uniforms. I may be biased, but them dress blues, man, they something else. And so it was he called me and told me I was going. So I was like, all right, bet. So again, like, regardless of what you believe in, I think that everything happens for a reason. My class, we checked in on September 11th, and everybody knows what September 9/11 is. So we checked in on 9/11/2021. That was the day I checked in. And
Damn.
I'm like, and there was a guy, I ain't gonna say his name. There was a guy that he was from the same place as me, and he was going to OCS too. And I'm like, all right. Now I'm 30 years old, dog. Like all of these kids are straight out of college. Like they just graduated college. I got a little bit of life under my belt.
Yeah.
Man, we get there, and I'm like, man, okay, I'm physically fit. I'm looking around. I'm like, yeah, I got this. I didn't have this. I did. I listen, dog. Like you think you train hard? Nah. We get there, they yelling. They're like, get down, I'm like, all right. And I'm like, these dudes is young enough. They like 22, 23 yelling at me, and I'm 30 years old. So it takes a certain level of humility. You got to be humble in order. But I didn't really touch on this, but like the thing for me is like I pledged in a fraternity. I know all about altruism and being humble and humbling yourself. So I was like, all right, y'all want to yell at me? Cool, got it. This, at at the end of the day, ain't nobody in here gonna beat me up. So I'm good. Like
Yeah.
ain't nobody gonna beat my ass. So I'm like, all right, cool. You got me doing this, doing that. And I did it. And it was a great experience. Tell you a funny thing, right? So uh oh fuck it, I'll say it anyway. I got put on the board 2 times when I was at OCS. And so
What does
OCS
that
is like
mean?
when you get put on the board, it's like a reprimand. And so
Mm.
somebody believes that you should not be an officer for whatever reason, and they recommend you to a board. And so now, mind you, I wasn't the fastest I'm 220 pounds, so I wasn't the fastest. Um, my platoon commander put me on the board, and they call it failure to adapt. And the first time they put me on the board, I went in there and I was like, I didn't fail a test. I didn't fail anything. Now, could you say it's unbecoming of an officer to not be a gazelle and run 3 miles in under 19 minutes? Sure, if that's what you want to hang your hat on, that you can run really fast, so be it. But I'm so comfortable in myself that, and I'm not saying that people in the Marine Corps are brainwashed, but like I know who I am, and if I know who I am, you're not gonna change that. And so I'm gonna be humble and I'm gonna be respectful, and I'm all up for the task at hand. But I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm
Mhm.
gonna be Jay at the end of the day. And this is like where I was telling you in the beginning, is like you can't confuse identities and labels. I am a Marine, yes, but I'm also Jay Jones. And so
Mhm.
this was easy for me. So they put me on the board. Uh I basically beat it because they didn't really have any grounds, because I didn't fail anything. I was dumb, in some instances, because I remember one time he told me, fill out this thing, and in the Marine Corps or in any military, like you sign a date, it'd be like year, and then it goes straight into month, day. So it'd be like 2025 07 13, whatever. Well, living some life, like I put a dash in between each one. That wasn't the right thing to do. I'm talking about my gunnery sergeant, like, dude, he like 5'8", just angry pit bull looking type of guy. He's like, "Are you fucking stupid?" And I'm just like, "Good to go, gunnery sergeant." Like, he was like, "Did I say?" And he just chewing me out in front of everybody. And I ain't gonna lie,
Damn.
man. Like, it pissed me off, man, because my pride was hurt. And I'm like, all right, like, you couldn't take me in the office and like chew me out in there, And so I took it, took it on the chin, whatever, and made it off the board, came back, doing my thing. And so I'm like, all right, cool, I got this. We on like week 6, week 7. It's only 10 weeks. But if you ever went somewhere, it's like prison, man. Like, we was the first COVID class, and in the first COVID class, like, so we were like, we couldn't leave. Like, other classes could like leave and go out. We couldn't leave. We had to stay there because of COVID. And it's funny because we would go through all of this, and so you didn't have no touch with the outside world because you can't use your phone. Like, people got to actually like write you letters, and so I couldn't talk to anybody, and like, I'm just sitting here like, God bless, man. Like, I ain't got nobody to talk to. Ain't nobody writing me no letters. Like, you ask one of my homies from the back in the hood to be like, "Hey man, write me a letter." He gonna be like, "Man, fuck you. I ain't writing you no letter." And I'm just like, please, man. Like, I need to talk to somebody. And so, yeah, that happened, and it was week 6 or week 7. I fucked up really bad. We was doing a night land nav course, and I had my pack on, had my rifle, and I stepped on this rotten log or something like that, and my knee went one way, we in the middle of the night. It's like 10 o'clock in the middle of the night, like pitch black. Got our little night vision on, and we trying to find these little boxes. Anybody in the military know about land nav? Again, I'm a dude from Little Rock. I don't play in the woods. Like, I'm not familiar. So I step on this log, like I feel my knee pop, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I'm like limping back. Obviously, I failed the test, and they chewing me out like, "You stupid fucker," or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. It's 11 o'clock at night. I just want to go to sleep. And so the next day, my knee, like, something is wrong. Like, I don't know what is wrong. Like, my knee is super swollen. And so now it's like I'm talking about, dog, like, I have never experienced pain like this in my life. I'm like, I don't know, God, what you trying to do to me. And so I guess people call this like a David Goggins moment. So at OCS, anybody who's been to OCS knows that you can get dropped, like, in its fine, right? You get dropped, you're not a Marine, you're not anything, so they can send you home. They'll be like, "Oh, you can come back and try again later." And for me is like being old. I didn't have that opportunity. Like I can't go back to Arkansas and be like, oh yeah, man, they sent me home. I gotta go back again and redo it all again. I was like, nope, I'm not doing that shit. So I just would tape my knee up with athletic tape every morning, like under my uniform. And so I learned really fast. Like I didn't know what I did to my knee. I didn't know if I tore my ACL, MCL, whatever. But I knew I could move forward just fine. Like I could walk fine. It would hurt like hell, but I can like take it. Like I've been through worse. But I couldn't move laterally. I noticed that like if it was anything like skipping sideways, I my knee would just give out. And so I'm like, okay. And I had in my mind, like, dog, I'm not going home. Like either they're gonna have to send me home or whatever. So I'm limping around this. Anybody who listened to this and that went to my OCS class, like they know they was like, they was like, oh, he just old.
Right.
Yeah, Jones ain't right. But they was like, he just old. That's why he limping. He just beat up, you know. And I was like, okay. And so, yeah, I found out. I know what it is now. Well, obviously because I had surgery, but yeah, I tore my MCL and my lateral meniscus, and so I was like, dog, I'm not going home. And so this is the second thing, right? How I got put on the second board. We had this thing called the E course, and we running through the E course, and you have to start with the O course, which is this where everybody sees on TV, like jump over this, flip over this, climb this rope, whatever. And so the first time I did it, I was like, I don't know how I can do this. And so it's jumping, it's everything. So I take my knee up like I normally do, and I'm like, I know even with this torn meniscus that I'm in better shape than a lot of people here. And so I'm like, all right, I'm a bullshit it. And like I'm not gonna be last, but I'm not gonna go as hard as I can because I don't know what I can do. So I kind of like go through it, and I think it took me like a minute and 20 seconds. And I'm like, and I'm still like, mind you, I'm still not the slowest. I'm faster than a lot of people. I just wasn't the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I know this was like the warm up more or less. And so the next time we do it like a week later, we run through it and I'm going full speed. I'm like, oh, I know I got this now. It don't really hurt. And I can climb a rope like nobody's business. I'm like 6'2", so I can jump up the rope, whatever. And I think I get it like in 45 seconds, 46 seconds.
Ooh,
like,
all right.
Smoked it, right? I'm excited. I get called into the office, and he was my commander is like, he was like, I'm putting you on the board. And I was like, I just smoked it. Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you had the biggest change in the whole company. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm failing to understand what, that's in that moment he taught me,
right?
He taught me a lesson real quick. And it's like, dog, like, you don't get to decide when you put out. You put out every time. And I was like, oh shit. That and again, here's the humility. And I'm like, you right. Like, I definitely didn't put out. He's like, being a Marine Corps officer, being a leader of Marines, people are entrusting you. Like, if we go to war tomorrow, they're entrusting their kids with you. You don't get to decide when you go hard. You go hard every time, no matter what. And so, like, obviously, I'm not going to tell him that I tore my meniscus because he's going to send me home. And so I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. You right. Like, I can't be mad at that. He was 100% right. I should have just stinted on the first one and do what it is. And so in that moment, he put me on the board. Now, this is second board. I have to go and talk to the colonel, the dude who's over OCS. And we had a firm talking. And, you know, everything he said was 100% correct. And I was like, all right, well, knee jacked up. I'm not going to tell them. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to send it. And that's what I did. And, you know, and I'm not, and knowing now, like, I probably messed it up way worse than what it already was. Because when I got back, the dude told me that I ain't have nothing left that he could work with. So he had to cut it all out. But it was that, and again, like you said, these defining moments, and I was like, man, he's 100% right. Like, how is it that you go through life, and it's like you kind of like well, my back hurt, my knee hurt, and I'm just gonna take it easy today. And like this is the analogy for life. Like a lot of people go through shit. Like I get you, but you don't get to decide when you turn it on. You got to turn it. You got to show up every day. Like yeah, like take a step back, reevaluate the situation. Don't be dumb, but you gotta go because dog, there's somebody somewhere that's looking to me and they're like, because he did it, I can too, you know?
Yeah.
And so even though I didn't like my platoon commander and he tried to put me on the board 2 times to get me kicked out, I respect him for it. And like, if anybody ever sees me post something like on my running stories, it'd be like roster and it'd be like, shout out to Captain so and so. I'm not gonna say his name on here, but like, shout out to Captain so and so. I'm talking to him and like, I don't know what he's doing in life right now because when we had graduation, he was like, at that moment, they told the day before graduation, they made me go get an MRI because they was like, you should not be limping around here or whatever. And I'm like scared as hell because I'm like, I don't want them to send me home and I have to come back and do it again. But I went. It was like whenever anybody who's been in the military, like you go at late at night. So I had to go like while everybody sleep. I had to go to Camp Belvoir up in Virginia and get an MRI, all of that stuff. And they found out that my knee was completely torn, my meniscus was torn, and the doctor was like looking at it like, "How long has this been bothering you?" So I lied. I was like, "Oh, it ain't never really been bothering me." He's like, "But you're limping," and I was like, "I just thought it was just something in my hips." And so what nobody knows is like whenever I would go to medical, I would say something that had nothing to do with it. I'd be like, man, my back has been like bothering me. And they'd be like, oh, let's treat your back. And I'd be like, hey, while I'm here, can I just get the game ready and put it on my knee? And then the game ready was that like compression sleeve with ice in it. And
Yeah.
I would just be like, since I'm here, let me just go in and do this. Or I would go in and be like, hey, my throat is bothering me. Since I'm here, can I use that game ready? And they'd be like, yeah. Because if you have a what they call a medical chit, and like you have to put on there like what you went there for. And so like if you do something extra, they don't put it on there. I'm like, I went for my throat, but I went and got the game ready. So that's what kind of like got me through it. And I graduated obviously. I wasn't able to commission straight out because I was a reservist. So they sent me home to have surgery, put me in Wounded Warrior. I was in Wounded Warrior Battalion. Um, had my surgery, got back, and then I went to TBS. And fast forward through TBS, I made it just fine, and here I am.
Yo, that's crazy, man. I love to hear that story because there's a lot of people that talk about like mental toughness and having grit and stuff like that, but they've never really dealt with shit. And that's 10 weeks where you just had to fucking suck it up. And like especially the back half of that, like it didn't matter how bad that thing hurt. Like that's 10
Mm,
weeks that dramatically changed the trajectory of your life. And like
yeah.
it sounds like you realize that in the moment. And even greater than that, it doesn't sound like, oh, I need to do this because it's going to change my life. It sounds like, no, I'm not going to back down from this challenge, this thing that's in front of me. Like I'm going to give it 100%. I'm gonna give it 110%. Like no matter what that takes or like what the collateral is in terms of your knee, whether you make it or not. Because there's, most people probably wouldn't have made it through those 10 weeks dealing with that.
Mm,
And not only like would they not be able to physically do it or like mentally do it, but like there's things out of your control. Like that could have affected your performance to the point where like you just got cut and then you just have to deal with that on your own. It's like that's crazy to me to hear like the amount of mental fortitude that you put forth and you were able to just like do the thing that you set out to do and didn't back down. You just fucking did it, man. I think there's a lot of people listening right now that could learn a lot from that, especially because now like I don't know. I feel like people live their lives on the internet now, and like they don't really deal with like real adversity and like real like challenges that are gonna try you mentally, physically, and like change the outcome of realistically the rest of your life. Like people, yeah, there's a lot of people still dealing with that stuff, but like I think largely like a lot of people aren't gonna have those experiences. So to hear that you're out here and you're actually like you're living it, you're doing it, and you're putting yourself through it, and you're succeeding in a way that's not much more sweet because of how hard it was, how difficult it was to do that. And that's unreal, man. That's crazy.
so
So
the the
Yeah,
crazy thing about it, man, is like I posted this on my Instagram like a week ago, but it's like you said, like people talk about adversity, but it's like, and like I haven't been through it. Like I've never been in combat. I've never did those things, but I feel like there's levels, right? And so for
yeah,
me, it was like, dude, when your back is against the wall, like you're not thinking in that moment, oh, I'm super disciplined and I'm motivated. You just thinking like, I don't want to get sent home. And how, and like for me, dog, like being where I'm from, dog, like the thing about like what I was telling you in the beginning is like there was a guy that went with me. There is a time when your back is against the wall and all the cars are down. You have to ask yourself, like, who am I? And like I know who I am, and like I cannot come back to Arkansas and my dudes be like, hey man, like what happened? And he's like, oh man, X, Y. Anything that I say would be an excuse. They're gonna be like, what? You quit? And so in my
yeah,
mind, like I quit football. Like legit, I quit football because my confidence lacked or whatever, insert in any excuse that you want. You quit. Like at the end of the day, you quit. And what in the military we say, you rang the bell. And so the guy that went with me, like I'm like, mind you, we were in different companies. And so I never saw him. But then when we finally got able, like it was like week 6 or 7, when we finally got to interact with like other companies, I was like, look, I'm like, man, where my dude at? Like, and I messaged my recruiter and I'm like, hey, where's so and so? And he was like, oh, he quit. And
damn,
I'm like, he quit. Like me and him, we were so excited. We was like talking about it to each other. And so I'm like, damn. And like I don't I don't say that to say like speak negative to him, because you gotta like we all gotta search our own souls and like what is it that's important to us. And in that moment, and if you are attached to something that is not necessarily deep within you, you'll quit. Like that's why I tell people, like, are you playing football because you like football, or are you playing football because you want to make a better way for your family or whatever? Because if you're just playing to be playing, I'm not saying that you can't make it, but when shit hit the fan and it get really really hard, you're gonna question yourself, and if you don't know who you are in that moment, you're gonna quit. That's military, that's anything. That's Navy SEAL training, that's Marine Corps training. I see it all the time. And it's like people, they're like, oh yeah, man, I want to be I want to be a coach, I want to be a trainer. Well, are you willing to work 7 days a week? Like I work every day. Are you willing to sleep on a cot with no bed because you stole it because you didn't have no money? Like how bad do you really want what you say you want? And I think that for me it was like I said, in that moment, I wasn't thinking about motivation or discipline. I'd be lying to you to saying like I just had this mentality of never quit. Well, I had that mentality, but it was much for a different reason. It was like I can't go back and tell my parents that I quit because everybody was like praying for me. That was like make people making posts about man, you doing the thing, Jay, you doing it, and I can't come back and show up with nothing,
yeah,
And so for me, it was like, dog, like this is all you got. One shot, one kill. Give it what you got, and if you don't, then that's fine. But don't let it be because you made the decision to try to find a way out or find a way to quit. Let them kick you out. Let them tell you that they ain't good enough because their whole job in OCS and any type of basic level training is to break you down and to make you question yourself and make you want to quit. That's what they're designed to do. And so for the weaker minded people, yeah, they quit, because they never went through nothing. Man, like bro, I done been damn near homeless. Like you ain't nothing y'all can tell me. I'm getting paid and I'm getting eating food. Yeah, I'm gonna go and take this knee up and we're gonna keep it pushing.
man, that's such valuable perspective too, because it's like it's bigger than you at that point. It's not just like because you want to do this. It's there's people depend on you. There's people rooting for you. This is like even pride can be a bad thing at certain points, but like it sounds like in this situation, like pride really drove you to do the thing that you set out to do. and that's huge, man. Like that's a level of commitment that a lot of people don't possess, and a lot of people, they're not strong enough to do it. They're not strong enough to persevere through all of that, like, let alone just like going through that healthy, but like with a major injury like that, and like just gritting your teeth and getting it done. Like, that's huge, man. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I do want to talk about kind of how, dude, that's a ton of life experience. You've had enough life experience for like 5 people at this point. But right now, next level 360 performance. That's you. That's your training. That's your youth athletes. Like, tell me how all of this experience, this mindset, like your training background, like how does this all play into what you deliver now in terms of training youth athletes, personal training? Like where does that fall into all this?
Man, I would be remiss, Jay, if I sat here and told you some bullshit about like, oh, whatever. It was y'all, man. It was
Nah,
pre-script. It
man.
was it was like, man, like when I told you, like, man, you changed my life. I don't mean that, and it's like I'm not just glazing you up. I'm being dead ass. Like I saw y'all, and I was like, okay, you know, this provides me a certain level of education in this community. Like if I'm gonna be a part of something, like I didn't want to go get no NASM or whatever. I was like, man, these dudes, they honest, they authentic, they gonna keep it 100. Like y'all blunt as shit, and I'm like, them. That's the type of crew that I want to be around. So when I took PSL 1, I was like, okay, I know a little bit. I'm like, I took PSL 2. I'm like, okay, I don't know shit. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna take PSL 3, and I was like, man, I ain't gonna lie. It was like, man, this is expensive. But I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, like, man, you will figure it out. Like, and the one thing that my best friend used to always tell me, he's like, bro, don't put value in money, put value in experiences, because experiences are the things that's gonna outlive everything. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna put it on the credit card, run it. And so after I was coaching and training before that, but it was kind of like I bet on me. And with the whole next level 360, it was like it's everything that I truly believe in. And so it's like whatever your next level is, whether it's high school to college to NFL, I want to be able to be the best person or best coach or best trainer for you to get you to that next level. And so if I say I want my athletes to push as hard as they can, work as hard as they can, why shouldn't I do that with my education? And so I don't, at this moment, any course y'all put out, I'm taking that shit. I don't care. I'm in the nutrition lab, the nutrition course right now, is because it's like it's certain levels, and right, and it's not necessarily physical, but it's like, how can I be the best? If I say I want to be the best, and that just comes from playing football, like I want to be the best. And like when we talk about like confidence, like back in my younger days, but it's like now it's like I can add, not necessarily just getting, like I don't want to be a certificate junkie, but it's like, how can I take this information and how can I apply it to be a better coach for my athletes? So that way I can give them what I never had. And so I can have this wealth of knowledge and I can explain to them like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. And so that was like the next level. So because for me is I'm always trying to, I'm never complacent because complacency kills. And so I'm like, I'm always looking for whatever that next level is for me, for my athletes, and whatever the case may be. And so then when we think about 360, 360 is like everything all encompassing, right? It's not just necessarily the physical, but it's the mental. It's not necessarily just the mental, but it's the education. And so for me, it's like I tell you can get any of my athletes, and I tell them, I was like, my goal for you is to not need me one day and have all the tools that you need. And then if you were to ever get another trainer a year from now, 2 years from now, and they just use big words and they say something, you can be like, that's bullshit.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. There's so much value in that. And like from what I've seen, some of the best coaches, the reason they're so good at what they do is exactly what you said. Is one to be the best, one to be better at what they do, and then also coming from a place of I'm gonna give you what I never had, what I needed but never could find. And that's such a valuable perspective to have as a coach, especially from someone that's been there. Like you've walked the walk, you've done it, man. You've been through it all. And now to be in that position to be able to give that experience to a new generation of athletes, to your clients, like that's unreal. And like it's got to be fun too. You could be the best coach, you could have all the knowledge, you can have all the experience, but if people don't like you or like working with you, like you're not going to make a change. You're not going to make a difference, not at all. So, that's unreal to hear, man. I didn't cry, but you had me tearing up over here. It's been unreal to sit down, kind of get your story and get your perspective and like really understand like what you put into where you're at right now. Man, if people are looking to work with you, like I can't recommend Jay enough. Like he works online, in person, group training, youth athletes. Like reach out to him. Where can people find you, Jay? I appreciate you, man. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Jones, Sweet Jones, the Black Dolphin. Thank you, man.